If you walk toward the corner of Detroit and East 2nd Streets in downtown Xenia, Ohio, you'll pass what looks like an ordinary American block. Tucked in among the storefronts is a local hair salon called Beauty 73. On a typical Tuesday, it functions like any other small-town business, with customers coming and going. But if you step back from the modern salon signage and examine the structure it occupies, the physical proportions feel out of place. There is a mismatch between the current tenant and the building's heavy stone foundation. The entrance is guarded by two massive columns built in the Doric order, supporting a fortress-like Greek Revival facade. Look closer at the frieze on the side of the balcony, and you'll find alternating triglyphs and metopopes. These are specific, ornate classical features that suggest a purpose far more intense than modern retail. This building is a dense historical artifact, a survivor of nature's worst wrath, and a participant in the highest level of the American judicial system. To understand why it sits here today, we have to peel back its timeline. On May 7, 1973, the building's striking architecture earned it an official spot on the National Register of Historic Places. That historical recognition became a benchmark for its survival exactly 1 year later, when a devastating tornado ripped through Xenia. The 1974 storm flattened the town. Most of Xenia's structures were completely obliterated, leaving behind a vast field of debris and leveled buildings. While modern buildings were torn apart, this 19th century structure stayed upright. Its deep stone foundation and heavy Greek Revival proportions successfully dispersed the catastrophic lateral wind loads that destroyed its neighbors. Survival at this scale raises a question about the building's origin. It asks why a building in a small Ohio town was over-engineered with such an impenetrable stone foundation in the first place. In 1865, after the Civil War, the structure was purchased by a physician named A.C. Messenger. He used the fortress-like walls as a quiet home and a private medical clinic. Dr. Messenger used the building for medicine, but its previous commercial history eventually triggered a massive legal dispute in the 1880s. This was the era of the Weight Court, a period where the Supreme Court handled cases defining the boundaries of American commerce. In 1885, this specific address appeared on the federal docket in the Supreme Court decision Xenia Bank v. Stewart. A frontier doctor's office only reaches the Supreme Court because of the immense financial power and liability it held during its first decades of operation. When it was built in 1835, the structure was constructed to be Greene County's very first bank. It operated as a bank for 30 years, eventually evolving into a branch of the State Bank of Ohio and then the First National Bank. The building's identity as a financial hub explains the architectural choices. The Greek Revival style and massive Doric columns were a specific solution to a practical problem. On the unpredictable American frontier, banks used heavy stone classical architecture to project an image of total financial stability to wary settlers. It was a psychological design strategy meant to communicate permanence. The over-engineering designed to build consumer trust in 1835 is exactly what physically saved the building from a tornado 140 years later. Today, the building houses a beauty salon, bridging the gap between its history as a fortress of finance and its current role in the community. Its journey has taken it from an 1835 frontier bank to an 1885 Supreme Court subject to a 1974 tornado survivor, and finally to a modern local business. The building suggests that true historical preservation happens when a structure remains useful and occupied, rather than being trapped as a sterile museum. The Bank of Xenia stands today because of its physical stone foundation, but its ultimate survival was secured by its willingness to continuously reinvent itself for the people of Xenia.